Do you like having the undead fight for you? Do you like being a vampire? What if you could do both? This is my Vampiric Oathbreaker guide for Baldur's Gate 3. This revolves around using Ascended Astarion as a pure Oathbreaker paladin, doing some insane damage. It's really, really fun. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay guys, it is time to talk stats for this build. The stats you see on screen now are for if you plan to use the endgame items to increase your stats. For example, this build, I personally like using the Constitution neck piece on this character in order to get my Constitution up really high. That allows me to put points in other things. For example, I could dump Wisdom here and get even more Dexterity. And then on my next level up, I could increase Strength and Dexterity again with an ability score improvement. It's really going to be up to you if you use those endgame items. If you don't plan to use any endgame items, meaning you don't want to use the Gauntlets of Giant Hill Strength, you don't want to use the neck piece or anything like that, you are going to need to dump some points and get your Constitution up. How you do that is going to be honestly up to you. For this build specifically though, I am using the neck piece to drop Constitution all the way down since your Constitution will be set at 23. That way I can get some more points into Dexterity, that way I can bump my AC up a little bit. One thing to note, if you do use the Hag's Hair, you can get the Strength 18 right away and would be the best way to do this build in my opinion, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Subclass, I'm doing Oath of Devotion just because it's the easiest way to break your oath inside Act 3. You can just kill one of the refugees right inside of Rivington and it will automatically break your oath to be an Oathbreaker. If you go to respec later on, which I'm sure most of you will do, you have to renew your oath with the Oathbreaker. It costs money. Once you renew it, then you can go commit murder and it should break your oath again. The game has been bugged. Every patch, it seems like it breaks the Oathbreaker. Sometimes it gets hotfixed to where you can break your oath again. I know before, Act 2 had a lot of issues. But for me personally, I was able to respec, break my oath, and everything with no issues in Act 3. So hopefully you don't have any trouble either. So these are my starting stats. Skill proficiencies, you really want to pick what is going to be useful for you. Because this is a paladin character, intimidation and persuasion is going to be really useful, so you might as well go ahead and start with that. When it comes to character wise, of course this is a vampiric Death Knight build, so we are actually going to be playing as the origin character Astarion, and once we get into the damage you will certainly see why. Alright, it is time to talk leveling up as an Oathbreaker. With this build specifically, you will be using a two-handed sword. Go Great Weapon Fighting. Even though I'm a big fan of using defense, Great Weapon Fighting in combination with Savage attacks will pretty much guarantee you roll extremely high with your attacks, which is why I like this. And you will be taking defeat Savage attacks later on. If you find Savage attacks is enough and you don't want that and you would rather have the extra AC, feel free to go with Great Weapon Fighting, or with defense instead. Prepared spells here, because this is a themed build around a vampiric Death Knight, I think choosing spells around that kind of fits. So Command is a great spell. If you think about it, vampires have the ability to control or to kind of like persuade their enemies to lure them. Command, in my opinion, fits that lore. Compel Duel also does, but I'm not a big fan of that spell, so we're going to remove it. I think it's terrible. Wrathful Smite is really good. Just straight up frighten your target. I mean, what's more scary than a vampiric Death Knight? So I think that one's pretty good, and it's already there. Bless, you don't need. Let's be real, you're not going to be blessing as this spec. Let someone else do that. I think Searing Smite will be pretty decent with this as well, just because it does extra fire damage. And even though you're not quite, when you don't think of fire with a Death Knight, I do think this kind of fits when it comes to some of the armor pieces you use later on, so it could be worth using. Pick whatever else you want for the last spell, though. It can really be up to you. Okay, so Oathbreaker level 3 is cool because A, you now have your Dreadful Aspect. This is really great because this will frighten your targets. It does require an action and a Channel Oath spell, but Frighten is really nice because enemies that are frightened have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls. So if you know you're not going to actually kill in a group, this is really great because this will make the enemies on their turn have a less chance to hit you, and when they're frightened, they can't actually move. So it's kind of like a pseudo CC. Control Undead is going to be pretty useful as you level up. This spell will just allow you to control any undead that are around as long as they're a lower level than you are. Specifically, you'll find use for this in Act 2 for the most part. In Act 3, not so much because you'll have better uses. In Act 1, there's really not that many undead, so it's really an Act 2 skill. Some of the other spells you get, though, Inflict Wounds. This is always prepared as level 1 spell slot. It just does some big time necrotic damage. And then Hellish Rebuke is a reaction you can use to where if someone hits you, you can now react and do fire damage to them. Paladin level 4, you get your Lay on Hands charges, which is pretty cool. One thing I forgot to note is you are also immune to diseases as a Paladin at level 3. So you get your first feat here at level 4, and you have a choice. What do you want to level up? This build that I'm going with specifically is only going to get one ability improvement, and you'll see why in a moment. So I'm going to get my Strength up to 18 and Dexterity up to 16. I know I mentioned it before, most likely when it came to character selection earlier and the stats, but if you have the Hag's Hair, you can get your Strength to 18 base without the need of this feat. In combination with some things you get in Act 2 and Act 3, you can then get your Strength to 22 without ever using ability improvement, which just gives you a free feat to use. My character does not have that. I already used the Hag's Hair on another character, so I am going to get my ability improvement up. Even though you do use heavy armor, and heavy armor gains no benefit from dexterity whatsoever, I do like having dexterity because this will give you increased initiative, which will be highly useful. So that is one thing to keep in mind. And of course, my constitution is super low because my constitution is literally being replaced with a neck piece that will bump it up to 23 later on. So Paladin 5, you get your extra attack, really nice. The other spells, pick whatever you want here for your prepared spells, but the oath spells I don't want to talk about. Darkness, this is really great. Darkness will allow you to essentially blind a target. All targets that are in this cloud, they have really, really small amount to hit you. They can still hit you technically, but it lowers it dramatically. This also will blind you, but if you use the blind immunity ring or the helm that I'm showcasing later in the video, you will be immune to blind anyway, so this is really nice. And targets cannot shoot at your darkness either. Crown of Madness is really cool. I find this to be very fitting for our Vampiric Death Knight. If you think about it, I mentioned earlier how vampires have usually the ability to charm their enemies. That's kind of what this ability does, so that's really cool. Level 6 Paladin, you get Aura of Protection. This says +0, but this is equal to your Charisma modifier. So this is going to give you an increase to your saving throws equal to your Charisma modifier. Because I'm at 16 Charisma, it will be +3. Again, when it comes to all your prepared spells, prepare whatever you like. It's really up to you what you want to do. I would probably take Branding Smite over Magic Weapon. I don't really need Magic Weapon in my opinion. Okay, so Oathbreaker Paladin level 7 is when things get pretty cool. You get Aura of Hate. This is equal to your Charisma modifier. Again, you're at 16 Charisma, so your modifier is +3. So this will give you +3 to melee weapon attacks for yourself, as well as any melee weapon attack for fiends and undead. Unfortunately, zombies and everything that you can animate and rise don't have weapons, so this won't actually affect them. I don't know if this is intended or not. This will, however, affect any type of fiend that has a weapon. So if you have a cleric friend, or if you get a special rapier that summons some of like the end game fiends, this will affect their damage. Okay, at Paladin level 8, you get a new feat here. Again, I'm only using ability improvement one time with this character because I have other ways to increase my strength and whatnot. So now you have a choice. Do you want to gain other feats like Savage Attacker, which I would highly recommend? This is going to reroll all melee weapon damage. So if your attack has, like, say your weapons do additional necrotic damage, this will reroll the dice for that. This will reroll the dice just for the damage in general. If you're using a greatsword, this is really useful because greatswords are 2d6, so it's nice to get that damage rerolled, and it can stack with the great weapon fighting style that we talked about earlier. I really like this, and if you plan to go with this build and actually make Asterion ascend into a vampire lord, this should actually redo his necrotic damage as well. So it's going to reroll a ton of damage, and it will reroll additional damage you do later on as you level up, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you can choose Savage Attacker here or Great Weapon Master. You will get both of these eventually with this build. It's just a matter of when you want to do it. Great Weapon Master gives you -5 to your attack rolls, which kind of sucks. However, you do get +10 damage. And anytime you land a crit or kill a target, you can use a bonus action to attack with your two-hander again. So pick whichever one you want first. It's going to be up to you. Okay, Paladin level 9, you start getting some really awesome spells here, and these are spells you definitely want to check out. So you get Elemental Weapon, it's okay. Concentration spell, so depending on how you play, this would be good or bad. But it is nice because it is additional damage of your choice and gives you +1 to attack rolls to help negate the negative aspect of Great Weapon Master. So this one is one you could possibly put on. Revivify is okay. It's a necromancy spell, which kind of fits the theme and uses revive a companion, bringing them back to life. There are a set of gloves I'm going to talk about later that will give you this, so you may not need that. Daylight, completely useless in my opinion. Crusader's Mantle, another great spell. Uses, bam, holy damage added to the attacks. Pretty nice. Remove Curse is never a bad thing. Removing a curse is pretty useful. Most likely, though, you're not going to do it in combat, so you can always go back to camp, prepare this, remove a curse from whoever needs their curse removed, and then take it back off. A Warden of Vitality, in my opinion, is okay. I mean, could be better, could be worse, but it is a way to heal, and this will interact with a set of gloves we talk about later. So because of that, I am going to put them on. I'm going to drop Cure Wounds for this. When it comes to the other spells, I'm going to take Divine Favor out. I'm going to put in my Crusader's Mantle instead. Paladin level 10, you get Aura of Courage. You and nearby allies can't be frightened. Another fantastic aura to have. Paladin's really dope. And you get some more lay on hands charges, which just means even more free healing. Okay, Paladin level 11. You get Improved Divine Smite. So your attacks, no matter what you do an additional 1d8 radiant damage. This is awesome because this is going to stack with everything else. So this will stack with any additional things for melee attacks. If you have gloves, for example, that give you additional damage, this will stack with it. It's just free damage, so it's really nice. And you get another 3rd level spell slot, which is pretty cool. And then Paladin level 12, you get your final feat. So again, pick whichever feat you didn't pick earlier, and then choose it. Real quick, I do want to showcase why having the Savage Attacker is super important for this build. Check out this. This is cast us up to rank 3 so I can do some big time damage. So if you take a look at all the damage I did, all of this is getting re-rolled. All of this is getting re-rolled. And because I did so much damage to him, I didn't even need to use Divine Smite. Because that was a crit, I could get my Divine Smite to also be a crit. and have it rerolled. Savage Attacker is so good for this build. Alright guys, talking gear real quick, I do want to showcase some things. I don't have time in this video, in my opinion, to showcase where every single piece of gear is going to be, because it will make the video way too long. So I will put a link to the wiki down below, and you can look it up yourself. Amulet of Greater Health, Constitution set to 23. Advantage on Constitution saving throws, which is nice, because normally you're not proficient with that, so this is really great. You get this down below in Hell. Hell Dusk Helmet, really great. You are immune to being blinded, including magical blindness. You get +2 bonus to saving throws against spells. Attackers can't land crits on you. And you have Emulating Gaze. This is just a skill you can use once per short rest to do fire damage and frighten at the same time. If you don't want to use this helmet, Act 2 has a great helmet from Balthazar. It's called Circle of Bones. It makes all your undead allies get basically resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing, so they get Blade Ward, 50% damage reduction from all that stuff. Also really nice because it makes Animate Dead use once per long rest without a spell. Those are my two favorite helms that you get. You could use other stuff, but those are my favorite. I don't find this helm here to be worth it. Even though you do get the extra crit, you already can't be frightened from this build anyway because of your Aura of Courage. So I find that with that being said, this is only like at half use. So I like using this helm on other people in my party. When it comes to the cape, Cloak of Protection, +1 AC, no big deal. But the extra saving throw stacks with everything else and stacks with your Aura of Protection. So why not use it? If you don't like using that, use any other cloak. Chest piece, Hell Dusk armor. I mean, it just looks super sick. This gives you anytime you succeed a saving throw, the casters burn for 3 turns. Really great against casters. You have resistance to fire damage, and you yourself can't be burned, which is nice because this will interact with something else later on. And you take 3 less damage from all spells, plus you can cast Fly once per long rest. Really great chest piece. A good alternative, if you did save Daemon, you can use Armor of Persistence, which will just give you resistance and Blade Ward at all times. But it just looks very non-Death Knighty, so I don't use it. I go with the Hell Dust stuff. Gloves, pay attention, because I'm only going to say this one time. If you want to be offensive, the Hell Dust gloves are insane. This will give you a cantrip that does big-time fire damage, and it uses your strength modifier instead of anything else. You get +1 to strength saving throws and +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell DC. However, you can use the reviving hands. These gloves are actually insane. They give you Death Ward anytime you basically resurrect a creature, which you can because you get Revivify. So anytime you bring them up to life, they will now get Death Ward, which is really great. However, if you read, it says anytime you heal a creature, you gain the effect of Blade Ward. Ring of Regeneration. These two go hand in hand. This ring will heal you at the start of combat, and when it does, when you are healed, guess what? You proc Blade Ward. So at the start of combat, anytime this ring heals you, you get Blade Ward. So you get Blade Ward all the time with that. So these two are really nice to use hand in hand. If you don't use this ring, don't use Reviving Hands. The boots, the Hell Dust boots, in my opinion, one of the best boots in the game. You can't be knocked back from spells or anything else. You ignore the effects of difficult terrain. When you you fail a saving throw, you can instead use a reaction to succeed, and you get Hellcrawler. It's basically Missy Step on crack. You do a Missy Step, and then in that area, it does an AoE fire attack. Really, really cool. If you don't want to use these, other options are really going to be whatever you want. Nightwalkers are really nice. Missy Step. And then Boots of Persistence, really, really great. You get Freedom of Movement and Longstrider. Also another really solid set of boots. Pick whatever you want here. The neck piece we already talked about, but Crypt Lord Ring, you have to, when you do the quest with the Mummy Lord, you have to keep Thrumbo alive. It is very important you do that in order to get this ring. Without the Crypt Lord's ring, you will not be able to get create undead as an Oathbreaker Paladin. I will showcase steps at the end of this video on how to get that ring. And ring regeneration, again, you can buy this at the vendor, the sorcery place in Act 3. But if you don't use the other gloves we talked about, you might as well replace this with something else. Replace it with anything you want. One thing I like replacing it with, though, is a risky ring. This gives you advantage on attack rolls, but you do get disadvantage on saving throws. But with all your bonuses to saving throws anyway, you might as well use it. Bow, pick whatever you want. I just use Darkfire short bow because it gives me haste. And then the Sword of Chaos just heals me as well anytime I do damage, so you might as well use it. Unfortunately, the Chaos Heal doesn't count as a spell, so it will not proc the Blade Ward from the gloves, but the ring will. Vampire Lord Asterion gets some great abilities. You get Ascended Bite, does necrotic damage and heals. You get Vampire Bite, does piercing damage and heals. You get Misty Escape, basically free gas form, but a little different. Really, really nice. And if you take a look at my attacks, you see how it says 1d10 necrotic? Yeah, you get a bonus d10 to all weapon attacks as Ascended Vampire Lords, which Asterion can be. You can do that almost as soon as you get to Act 3, so I would highly recommend you do his quest chain and get that right away, because it is a ton of damage. This is where to start the quest in order to get the Crypt ring that allows you to have create undead as a Oathbreaker Paladin. One thing to note, this vendor actually won't start the quest yet until the second time you talk to him, so make sure you do talk to him twice, and the second time is when you can actually ask him for help or to have a job offer, you could say. Make sure to actually buy the helm from the vendor first, because at the end of this quest chain, when you do defeat him, you cannot loot the helm. The only way to get it is if you actually buy it from him. This is Thrombo's location on map. Whatever you do, do not kill him. Actually accept his quest. You have to keep Thrombo alive in order to get the ring. After talking to Thrombo and getting the next part of the quest chain, you want to come here, over on the map. You actually go to the basement and make sure you read the book, and that will progress the quest chain to the next part. You will want to come to the Undercity Ruins and follow the watery path. Eventually, you'll fight a bunch of zombies and go to a secret room. That's where you need to go to do the next part of the quest. Make sure to actually read the book in the left-hand corner of the screen. If not, you will not have the option to tell Thrombo the quest item is inside his chest, and you need Thrombo to throw it up in order to actually progress the quest chain. After you go back to Thrombo and destroy everything, you can then defeat the Mummy Lord, and Thrombo will give you the ring. Congratulations, and you get all the really good loot off the guy as well. This next part is where to get the Helldust boots. They're inside a chest at the top of the little location. Go ahead and just follow it as I do in screen. Alright guys, let's see this in combat now. So we are going to put some dead bodies I collected on the floor. I am going to use my create undead spell on you. I'm going to use the other zombie spell I actually have with my spell slot on you. I got a couple cantrips I can do, and I'm just going to open up on people using my damage.
Witnessed assaulting someone.
So there's a couple things I could do. I could start out with haste, which I should have did before I actually started this fight. I'm going to do that now just to make sure I get it. So if you take a look at my mummy has an ability called multi-attack, but it can only be used on people that are frightened. It has a way to frighten people, but it's not that good. I'd rather, on my turn, frighten someone. So I'm going to use my Channel Oath skill, Dreadful Aspect. It's going to try to frighten all enemies within range, so let's use it. I actually got all 4. That is pretty damn sick. So I'm going to come up here and have my zombie use multi-attack. And you can see my zombie did some decent damage. That guy's already almost dead. Let's end his turn. Or my mummy, I should say. I apologize. So on my turn, I don't have much else I can do because I used my main stuff already. I could use my bite skill, which I am going to do. Let's go ahead and bite this guy. Because he's a humanoid, I become happy. When you're happy, you get +1 to your attack rolls and saving throws. Let's go ahead and just end my turn. They're all frightened. Because they're frightened, they can't move, and they have disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. So being able to AoE frighten people is kind of like a pseudo CC in a way, since they can't move. I do have Charm as an Illithid power, which is nice. It only lasts for 1 turn, so I could choose to use that or use Hellish Rebuke. Let's try to charm him, see what happens. Did not happen, okay. But that's okay. Alright, it is my zombies' turn. Zombies have a cool effect. You can read right here. It says, Crawling Gnaw. Whenever they kill, like if you attack someone, it will put a debuff on the enemy, assuming you hit. And if you do hit and kill that enemy, they will become a zombie when they die. So let's attack someone who has the highest to attack. This guy right here is 50%. Let's see if I hit. I do. He's got the debuff. So I'm going to end my turn. Alright. I am going to completely destroy this guy. This poor guy right here has no idea what's about to happen to him. Alright, again, real quick, make sure your reactions are all set up properly, because you definitely want to make sure you don't waste spell slots. Alright, so attack him. I didn't even need to use Divine Smite or anything, but you can see because he died of that debuff, I have another zombie. Take a look at the damage. The reason I like Savage Attacker is because all this damage, you can see all the rerolls here. All of that from my stuff, the necrotic, the slashing, the fire damage, and my radiant damage, all of that got re-rolled. That is really powerful stuff, guys. So I'm going to attack this person next. Basically almost one-shot her, and I'll just use 1 Divine Smite. Bam, she's dead. So I do have another attack here, and I have this guy way in the back. So I, normally, if I go to hit him, if these guys were higher, I mean, they could get really good attacks on me if attacks of opportunity. So instead, I'm going to use my boot teleport and teleport to this target right here. It's going to do AoE fire damage, which is really cool. I'm going to attack. I missed. Oh, wow, that sucks. Doesn't matter though, because he still died. And like, just think about when you crit, your slashing, necrotic, fire, and radiant damage, all of that would be doubled, which is actually insane. And my turn here. I got my mummy's turn. So these guys are no longer frightened, so I can't use the multi-attack. So I'm just going to attack normally. I missed, unfortunate, so I'll end my turn. And you can see, even though I had so many attacks try to break my concentration. Because of my neck piece and all the bonuses I had, the saving throws, it doesn't even matter. Alright, zombie's turn, so I'm going to go ahead and try to hit him. It's only 40% chance. That's unfortunate. This guy's 50. We'll try hitting him instead. Alright, so I got the debuff on him. Great. The other zombies that are created, though, like the new ones that get created from the debuff, you cannot control them. They will attack whatever they want. But it is an enemy that they attack. Alright, my turn. So let's go ahead and do some damage here. I'm a little low, so as a bonus action, I'm just going to bite this chick right here. So that did my 6d6 necrotic, did 23 right there, and as a bonus action, I got healed. Got healed a good amount. Let me go ahead and just attack her now. Wow, even with advantage I missed. That's really unfortunate. She's dead, but because she had the zombie thing, she turns into a zombie. But that's basically how you play this build. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Of course, if you use Necromancy of Thay and did all that stuff, you could get another spell. But I like saving that for Necromancers themselves. Anyway, guys, I'm Ronan. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.